I don't know what's more confusing, learning astrology or just being a human. Moonday Musings is here to help with that. A weekly, no bullshit guide for the upcoming cosmic forecast and how you can actually use this in your real life. Hi, neighbor. Happy Monday. Happy Moonday. Welcome to another episode of Moonday Musings. If you can't tell by my tone, I'm pretty excited over here. If you listen to the podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts, one of the major podcast platforms, you're probably listening to today's Moonday episode and you're like, what? What's different? The difference, my friends, for those of you that watch on YouTube, you already are probably beside yourself with excitement, just like I am, because Moonday Musings is officially a part of That Witch Next Door's YouTube channel. I'm so excited. So this has been a long time coming in a lot of ways, just without me realizing it up until recently. But it's one of those things I look back on and I'm like, we were always kind of heading this way, weren't we? We were. I am, when it comes to creating content, I am a long form girly. I love podcasting. I love blogging. I love having the full space to take my time and communicate intentionally and therefore, for me, more effectively. The cool thing for me personally is that if I talk long enough, I usually will find a little bit of wit along the way. I wouldn't, however, say that I am in any way quick-witted. Something that short-form content creators really either master or are naturally very attuned to. Something that I am not very naturally attuned to. Something that I'm doing moving forward in 2025 and beyond is we are getting even more intentional about where we spend our time and energy and efforts across all of these different platforms that we utilize to reach neighbors and folks like you. And the platforms that are the most supportive of and conducive to long-form content is just a natural, easy, totally makes sense way to go. But doing video content is, in the scheme of things, still a learning curve for me. This is something that I show up and do on a very, very basic, rudimentary level still, given the amount of content that I've created over the years and put out over the years. Video is still this thing that feels like this foreign landscape to me. But I'm excited. I've been feeling super called to doing more video content, but not in the realm of short form content nearly as much. I'll still bebop around over on TikTok and Instagram. I'll post little updates over there so that folks that are on there, see that we're there and can find us through that way and head over to all of the fun areas that we play here in That Witch neighborhood. But I'm going to be focusing myself and my team's energy and efforts into nurturing more long-form type platforms like our wonderful podcast here, like the YouTube channel, and of course, all of the incredible things that we are up to every month, all year long in That Witch School. So if you're watching on YouTube, hello! Welcome to Moonday Musings. If you're not familiar yet with Moonday, especially if you exclusively listen to That Witch on the YouTube channel and haven't listened ever or very much on regular podcast platforms, This is a whole little separate mini podcast that we have here at That Witch Podcast. We've been doing Moonday for 3.5 years, I think. 3 years, something like. It's not quite as long as the podcast. It was something that I introduced later on. Where Moonday came from was an Instagram live show that I used to do every Monday, actually, which was basically the same thing. It was talking about, astrology highlights of the day or the week. And I did this on Instagram Live for a really long time, I think almost a couple of years. And then once I started the podcast and really started leaning into That Witch Podcast, it just made so much sense to put Moonday there. But again, as I've been learning and navigating the realms of all content creation, we've just been putting our regular That Witch Podcast episodes on YouTube and keeping Moonday over on the regular podcast platforms, but no longer. You will now be able to find Moonday Musings both on YouTube in visual format like this, so we can hang out and chit chat about the astrology, or you can continue listening on your favorite podcast platform. I'm also going to try and get the video up on Spotify as well. So stay tuned for that. If you are a podcast listener, but you also like the video component on Spotify, I'll check into it, my friends. Stay tuned. But for now, for sure, we are up live for free on YouTube, my friend. Okay. We need to talk about some astrology. So if you've never been here at Moonday Musings before, this is a little mini cast. This is where we go over the astrological bullet points, the cosmic highlights, and the energy of the week, how you can work all of this into your intentions and your spiritual practice. And if this is the very first time you've met me before, hello, I'm Danny. I'm that witch next door. And I'll be your cosmic guide today. I'll be your host, your mentor, your spiritual bestie, if you will, in all things modern witchcraft and cosmic living. So this week on That Witch Podcast, Moonday Musings, we are talking about the astrological news of the week and our card pull for the week. So on the first Monday or Moonday of every month, we go over the cosmic energy overview for the whole month coming up. It's this really beautiful, sacred kind of calendar ritual that we do with each other. And then the following moon days up until the last moon day of the month, in the Mondays in the middle of the month, we go over the astrological highlights or bullet points for the week, which is exactly what this episode is about. And for our last Monday or moon day of the month, we spend time in intentional reflection and gratitude with each other for this whole month that we just spent with each other, so that we can step mindfully and intentionally into the next month ahead. So if this is your very first time joining us on Moonday Musings, I am very honored to welcome you here. This is a humongo fan favorite of That Witch Podcast listeners. Moonday Musings, if you know, kind of a thing. It's our heart and soul around here. I will tell you that much. So I'm very, very excited to be really hanging out with you. So if you're not usually on YouTube, but you do love listening and you feel like Mondays are that day that we just kick back and chill and talk about astrology together, consider throwing up the video on your phone. Don't forget to give a like and a subscribe to the YouTube channel, and share with a friend if you love what you hear. If you love what you hear here today. Let's talk about what's going on this week, astrologically speaking, because Gemini season has arrived, my friends. Tomorrow, Tuesday, May 20th, at 2:54 p.m. Yes, Eastern time, the sun will be moving into Gemini, beginning our Gemini season 2025. On Sunday, May 25th, Mercury will also be moving into Gemini. That's going to take place at 8:59 p.m. Eastern time on Sunday. We are entering into the Gemini energy. We already have Jupiter in Gemini, which is already going to be an amplifier of this energy. So when the sun and Mercury both join in on this, we are going to see this kind of uptick, this increase in mental capacities, mental and intellectual drive, in communications and interactions, both physically and virtually as well. Technology is always a very natural component of the air element, of which Gemini most certainly is. If you are curious, by the way, where I get the times and dates for the exact transits, this is not sponsored in any way. This is just a total heartfelt, pure love recommendation. I use and have been using the Honeycomb Personalized Astrological Almanac for many, many years now. And it is by far my favorite astrological calendar planner that is personalized and customized with both your location and time zone and your birth chart. So not only does this almanac show me the collective transits that we all talk about here on the podcast on Moonday Musings, that's why I'm able to give you the Eastern time, the exact moments when these transits peak, because I have them listed here in my almanac. I also, in addition to the collective transits, also known as the mundane transits, I have all of my natal transits in here as well. So along with the collective transits for everyone, where the planets are interacting with or impacting, if you will, everyone, there are blue highlighted transits on here that are specific to how the current planets are interacting with or communicating with, or which parts of my chart they're activating. It's very, very helpful. I will put recommendation and link in the show notes below. This is so handy if you are a person that finds yourself consistently trying to Google and look up dates and astrological times that are really, really specific to your time zone. That's what I love about the personalized almanac. So this week we have this uptick in Gemini energy, this uptick in the air element. If you were with us last week on Moonday, if you didn't already catch last week's Moonday Musings episode, highly recommend going back and listening to that, or even better yet, the Cosmic Monthly Overview that we dropped on May 5th, the first Moonday of the month. You can also go back and listen to that as well. I talked about how the last couple of weeks would be very well spent with a little bit of extra nervous system care and really just putting that extra padding around our mental health. Because when we do enter into a lot of Gemini or a lot of air energy, but especially Gemini, because this is Mercury, energized Mercury ruled. This is a time that, yes, naturally our mental and intellectual functions increase, both in inspiration, in curiosity, and also in our ability, how much we feel like we can accomplish, how much we feel like we can do. We tend to see this increase in our productivity and our output, how much we're able to take in and what we're able to do with that. And a big, beautiful and in addition to that is this can be a one-way direct road to burnout town, my friend. Because if we are not careful, or if I should say, I don't actually like the word careful there, because cautious and careful, I just don't think that sets us up in the right state of mind. But if we are mindful, if we are intentional about how we utilize our energy, if we are mindful and taking into consideration the state of our nervous system and our overall well-being, not just in that one moment, but having this holistic perspective of, I know that in this moment I'm doing really well and I'm knocking a bunch out and I'm getting a lot done. and this, I'm also speaking from personal experience here, so let me know if you relate to this. If I am not careful to zoom out of that tiny moment where I'm like, yeah, but I'm in my element, I'm cranking it out, I'm doing great work. If I'm not careful to zoom out, I might miss these other very subtle cues and signs that my body, my emotions, my needs are sending me. Okay, but we need to refuel here soon. We need a break here soon. It's very, 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 very easy when we're feeling this increase in productivity and functioning to miss those early on subtle cues that our nervous system and our body sends us, that we are in need of some rest, restoration, some fun, a break, even if it's just a brain break. But a body break typically helps the nervous system a lot, physically moving in that break. It's very easy to miss those early signs. It's also really easy to miss the moderate signs. Okay, the hunger cues that start coming, the mild headache that might be starting, that it's just mild enough that you're still able to think past it and look and kind of ignore it and put it on the back burner. Those moderate signs that are now saying, hey, not only are we in need of restoration and a break, we're starting to head into some burnout, or we're starting to head into overdrive here. We're starting to run out of fuel and we're going into our reserves here. Okay, we're starting to run out of our reserves and we're starting to head into an empty tank here. It is very easy during these times of increased air element energy, when we're feeling really high functioning and really effective in our thinking and our modes of interacting and being. It's very easy to miss those and to not be paying attention to those. And the next thing you know, what had been this really inspiring, really productive time that was feeling so good, like so many of us crave that, like, man, I've been really needing that routine, or I was really needing to knock that stuff out, or I finally have felt on my game after I wasn't really feeling that way for a while. All of that wonderful benefit can very, very quickly turn into, shit, I overdid it. Damn it. And now I'm this train car stacking up against itself wreck. And now the rest and the recon time that I need is double, if not more, what I would have needed had I not just been paying attention to those cues, giving myself the time and space to pause, step up, take a break, drink my water, eat my food, make sure I'm still moving myself, make sure I'm still having fun, make sure I'm still having connection with, the outside world and nature and grounding and things like that. It's very easy to get lost in especially the weeds of our tasks during extra Gemini energy during Gemini season. All very important things to keep in mind this week and into this next solar season. Gemini season will last. Oops, that's in the next almanac here. Gemini season will last until June 20th this year. So May 20th until June 20th, which is going to be our summer solstice and when Cancer season begins. Okay, so this is helpful advice to carry with you into the next solid 4 weeks. Something else that is very interesting this week that ties us into our next and final astrological highlight of the week is we have the sun in Taurus right before Gemini season begins tomorrow. The sun in Taurus is forming an exact sextile aspect with Saturn in Pisces. This is happening at the 29th degree because the sun is about to end its time in Taurus and enter into Gemini. 29 is the final degree of a zodiac sign. So whenever the sun is at 29 or any planet or celestial is at 29 degrees of a zodiac sign, it is at the end of that zodiac sign's chapter or journey or season and about to enter into the next. So the sun is about to end a season and cycle in Taurus and enter into Gemini, like we just talked about. But another very, very important planetary character is doing the same thing this week, and that is Saturn. Saturn is at 29 degrees of Pisces right now. And this week, on Saturday, the 24th, Saturn will be entering into Aries for the first time in about 29 years or so. Now, Saturn's not going to stay in Aries just yet. There will be a Saturn retrograde that puts Saturn back into Pisces one more time. So those of you who have Saturn in Pisces and you're going through your Saturn return right now, it ain't over. And also, it's not even fully over once it enters into the next sign. That's when all the ripple effects happen. We also talked about that on last week's Moonday, if you are interested in that and want to go back and listen to any of it. But this is still going to be the first step Saturn makes into Aries. And therefore, it's going to activate some of the previews of some of the themes that we are going to see and encounter throughout the Saturn and Aries season, which will last approximately 2.5 years or so. So, when the sun, before it moves into Gemini, forms its sextile with Saturn before it moves into Aries, what this indicates is a sextile aspect is an energy of opportunity, especially through collaboration. Where are there a couple of different areas within yourself or in your life that if you can kind of get them on the same page, if you can get the strengths and the weaknesses, or if you can get the similarities and the differences on the same or the right page, just enough, opportunities will just naturally open up and unfold on the other side. This is a lot of the spirit of the sextile aspect when we see it. When I see this in specific regards to Sun in Taurus forming this opportunistic aspect with Saturn and Pisces just before they both enter into new chapters, it feels like this opportunity to make amends, to make something right, to fully close the door on something so that you can just step fresh and new into something. This sounds nice because it will feel nice. If you can embark on that and you can really face that and do that, it will feel nice on the other side. And boy, oh boy, will it be worth it. Make no mistake, that probably won't feel easy. There will probably be some sort of inner challenge to overcome in order to do this, in order to have this closure, in order to close that chapter, in order to make things feel fully right. This might be swallowing of pride, being the bigger person, having the courage to fully speak the whole truth and not just part of it, picking up the phone first, being the one to initiate. All these types of things that are markers of some of our greatness as humans. And that's what makes them so hard. That's what makes them so great, I should say, is because they're really hard to do, but they're so incredibly worth it to do. It's the types of moves we can make that makes us really these models of examples for other humans around us. It's these types of challenges, these inner challenges that if we can get ourselves to do it, what we are not only showing ourselves, but also to the world around us is that we can swallow our pettiness. We can anchor into the big picture instead of the short-term picture that doesn't really fully pay off. It can be a move of grace, and enlightened emotional intelligence. So if that does require any type of like swallowing of pride on your part, having to make the first move, anything like that, I want you to know that no, we don't have to always be these like perfect saints of humans. But even if someone else isn't necessarily showing you that or hasn't shown you that, maybe let yourself be motivated by what you showing up and being willing to take that bigger step or that step of humility. That can be a really big one with Saturn at play here. That being willing to initiate that move of humility. I want you to think about and be motivated by the ripple effect gifts of that, because they're actually pretty dang profound. All right, my friends, we are going to take a moment to thank today's episode sponsor, Podzilla Productions. This is my husband, Jared's podcast editing and production business, and it is exactly why That Witch podcast has always had such nice sounding audio since the very, very beginning of the show. Jared has been editing, mixing, and producing audio for well over 17 years. And he is truly a perfectionist who believes in offering top quality editing services at an actually affordable price for those committed podcast hosts who aren't necessarily making as much money from their show as some of those big names out there just yet. My friend, stop wasting your hard-earned, high-value time and energy trying to teach yourself how to DIY every editing problem you come across, overthinking every word that you say on your own show, and just let someone faster and more experienced handle it without having to drop hundreds of dollars per episode so that you can get back to focusing on growing your podcast. Visit www.podzillaproductions.com to learn more, or you can reach out to Jared directly at jwright@podzillaproductions.com. All information that you need is in the show notes below. And now let's get back to the show. All right, it is time for our weekly card pull. So this is a big reason why Moonday is such a fan favorite around here. It is one of the only episodes that I still pull some regular tarot cards around. And I have not done a video reading in so long, which just feels crazy. We used to do these kind of more frequently at the beginning of the podcast over here on YouTube. And again, not on purpose, but for one reason or another, we just kind of stepped away from that and shifted gears and focused for a little while. And so I'm very, very excited to be bringing this back to us. So whenever you are ready, I want you to roll out your shoulders. I want you to take some nice, big, deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. Don't rush those breaths at all. Give yourself as much time and space as you need to really feel like you've reset, grounded, and opened up your energy so that you can receive any insights, any guidance, any messages that you may be needing or seeking at this time. If you're watching, I don't know if you notice how much I roll back my shoulders. This is because when I am doing any type of spiritual or divinatory work where I'm channeling or calling on my guides or the universe for any guidance or messages, keeping your energy feeling fresh and cleansed and open up to that divine channel is this priority. And over time, you kind of get used to quick, easy, go-to ways that you that you can do that in a moment's notice. So one of the ways that I very, very quickly can reset my energy is by rolling my shoulders back. And that feeling, it's probably a lot to do with like my vagus nerve, the vagus nerve that runs down the back of the spine. There is something about remembering to roll back and drop my shoulders that helps keep my heart space and center open. I feel like my chakras are very aligned and in tune this way. So if you ever notice that, that's why I do that. And it's something that you can do for yourself or others that you read for as well. Sometimes I rub my hands and like kind of clasp them and then open them. And this is like this fresh feeling of energy. Sometimes the shuffling itself is kind of that cleansing energy. Sometimes I just do some nice, good old-fashioned, good stretches. So you are always welcome to adopt those yourself while you're getting ready to hear our card reading, but also when you do those readings for yourself. Don't ever underestimate how powerful and profound those really tiny, minor, but significant shifts in your physical position, how wonderful they can be for refreshing and keeping your energy open and aligned so that you have these really clear kind of streamlined messages come through for you in your divinatory practices. So we're going to get right to it. We're going to get nice and real today, my friend, because I wonder why she came to play today. We've got our gal, our friend, a little bit cold-hearted sometimes, Queen of Swords in reverse. So the reason I kind of laugh and immediately smirk is because this is exactly the energy I'm kind of preparing you for and warning you about a little bit. I think that the reversed Queen of Swords is reminding us that we might not just be potentially seeing this in ourselves in the coming weeks. We could see this a lot in other people around us. Something that is very quintessentially associated with Queen of Swords reversed energy is cold bitchiness, quite frankly. And so where can you see this in your field of vision and your environment? And where and how can you be really, really intentional about how you respond to it? That doesn't mean that you need to like take anyone's shit by any means, especially when I was talking about like being the bigger person, not letting pettiness get to us. We are allowed to hold people accountable for their actions, absolutely. And where can we recognize that maybe certain ways that we respond or react to this very type of energy might just be an even further drain or an even further burden on us? It might feel really satisfying, like briefly in the moment, but can it potentially add this whole extra weight on top of everything else that you're already managing? Be mindful of Queen of Swords reversed energy this week and in these coming weeks. Now, I love pulling with our Rider-Waite-Smith card for the week. I love pulling from the Spirit Allies deck. I tend to just pull one card. Today, two definitely came out. First was the Clear Quartz card, and next was the White Buffalo card. Now, if you love our weekly readings and you really love having that visual of the cards that I pull on Moonday Musings, please make sure that you are subscribed to my email newsletter. We are here on YouTube together, so you will be able to see the cards. But if you are one of those people that loves to see the imagery of the cards as well as even save it on your phone, I have a lot of listeners that will download and save the image of the card or cards for the week on Moonday and save it to their device as like this helpful spiritual reminder. So if you still like or want to be able to do that, make sure that you're subscribed to my email newsletter. That's the only platform that I send the picture of the spread out on. Unless you're in that witch school, of course, which is my monthly membership you can subscribe to. Now, Clear Quartz, White Buffalo, right off the bat, visually speaking, look at all this contrast here. we have this very bright pink background card behind our clear quartz. And behind the white buffalo, we have this deep, deep indigo or navy blue. What's fascinating, though, is that both subjects are these silvery white or clear colors, which I think is so, so fascinating. So I personally love pulling a one or multiple oracle cards along with our Rider-Waite-Smith card, mostly because, in my opinion, I have found that an oracle card can very often help us put, especially big, hard-hitting, heavy tarot reading meanings into practice and application. I find that the usually very positive spin that a lot of oracle decks have, that layer on top of your very hard-hitting truth of your actual tarot reading can help you put the meaning and message of your, sometimes albeit harsh, tarot reading into some really loving and positive action and application. So we're going to start with the reading and the meaning of the clear quartz card, because that is the card that came out first. And the white buffalo card, very purposefully seeming, came out at the very, very end. According to the Spirit Allies deck, the clear quartz card says, I release negativity. Clear quartz may be a common stone, but it still remains one of the most powerful and versatile crystals. It can help to bring clarity to the user, protect against negativity, and is also known as a master healer. It holds the ability to amplify the energies around itself, including those of other crystals. Clear quartz is encouraging you to release any negativity that you may be feeling. There is too much beauty in life to let anything other than positivity fill you up. Take a moment to close your eyes and call attention to everything that has been preventing you from aligning with your highest self. With each breath in, imagine that you're filling a balloon with what no longer serves you. When you're ready, take a deep breath in and exhale out, imagining that the balloon is floating away. Let the weight of what you held, or let the weight of what held you down roll off your shoulders. Life is too short and too precious to be held back or down by anything. Well, if that doesn't go right into what we were talking about, Queen of Swords just now, with adding extra burdens and weights for no reason. Now let's listen to our kind of closing message from the White Buffalo card. I can manifest anything. Across the plains, White Buffalo stands proud against the sweeping winds and wispy grasses. Honored by the Lakota, White Buffalo first appeared as the White Buffalo Calf Woman, a prophet and the teacher of the 7 sacred ways to pray. The White Buffalo is a teacher of the importance of staying grounded when thinking of what you desire. While manifestation is a power that you hold, remember to focus on what will truly make you happy in this lifetime. White Buffalo reminds you of your personal power when you are rooted in your beliefs and remain humble and appreciative for what has already been presented to you. There is so much available to you, but to remain worthy and aligned to receive those gifts is up to you and your spiritual practice. The 2 journal prompts from each of these cards are, how can I welcome more positivity into my life? And in what ways can I stay grounded in my manifestation practice? Well, I feel like those were 2 just perfectly aligned support cards to our reversed Queen of Swords energy. There is no doubt that with increased energy, with increased function, with increased abilities and capacities, we will encounter some negativity. We will encounter things that try to divert our path or crush it or weigh it down, etc. think about what you hold within your own personal power and let yourself surrender and let go of anything outside of that, because it is above your pay grade as a human being in this lifetime, my friend. Okay? This is a good one this week. Certainly one that I also definitely needed to hear right alongside you, my friend. Thank you for your time today and every day. It is always such an honor and a privilege to be with you, my friend, and my wonderful magical neighbor. I will see you next time on our next episode of That Witch Podcast. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day and week ahead. And I hope that, of course, you're out there staying safe, having fun, and staying magical, my friends. If you enjoyed today's episode, if you learned something, or you just love That Witch Podcast, one of the best things that you can do is share the show with a friend. Just by reaching out and sharing a link or recommending us to somebody is hands down the best way to help us grow our podcast here. So you can head right now into the podcast app that you're listening to, and you can directly share this episode by using your little share link button, or you can just take a screenshot or just mention That Witch Podcast to whoever you're recommending us to, because you can find That Witch Podcast on all major podcast listening platforms. Thanks for being such a great neighbor.